This one's actually really hard to pick any players anywhere because they're both absolutely terrible. They are really bad.
Both sets are horrendous.
And welcome to the podcast. We might as well get started there. We're comparing two sides. We've got the Leicester 2024-25 season, and we've got the Aston Villa 2015-16 season. Both of these sides went down. So we've got Leicester, and they returned to the Premier League but struggled badly. They finished 18th and relegated again after coming back up from the previous side, failing to score in 9 consecutive home games. A top-flight record. The team never established momentum. They lost 8 straight games at home without scoring. And despite their flashes from Mavididi, Buonanotte and Vardy, the squad looked short of Premier League quality. They had a turbulent managerial year, so they went from Cooper to Dawson to Van Nistelrooy. But it didn't help them, and the Foxes slid straight back down. We then have the Aston Villa side of 2015 and 16. Villa endured a disastrous campaign. They finished 20th and suffered one of the bleakest seasons in the club history. Constant managerial turmoil. They went from Sherwood to Remy Gard and then to some bloke called Black. And a fractured dressing room resulted in just 17 points. Jordan Ayew and Gestede offered moments, but a soft midfield, brittle defence and a broken confidence defied a team that was eventually doomed by Christmas. So we've got these two sides and we're going to eventually put them into a combined 11. So first off, we have the goalkeeper position. So in goal for Leicester, we have Mads Hermansson, who's currently still playing the Premier League. Quite a sturdy goalkeeper at that time. He's rated very highly, wasn't he, at that season?
He was almost like he's probably their best player that year. And obviously that doesn't necessarily say a lot because they went down and they conceded loads of goals. But, he was actually a stable goalkeeper and he made some good saves because in some games the scoreline definitely could have been a hell of a lot worse if he wasn't in goal.
And when he went to West Ham, he wasn't very good, was he, at the start?
The West Ham fans didn't really take to him at all. He was quite error-prone, looked very sort of soft in goal, didn't really want to catch a lot, didn't really want to come for a lot. So he started in that West Ham side. He lost his place then, didn't he, to Areola, was then put back in. But he's been playing again more regularly in recent weeks and has earned his place back and has, like he did at Leicester, made some crucial saves at big times in games for the Hammers.
And in goal for Aston Villa is the American, Brad Guzan.
He's somebody that I considered for me TQQ, I'll be honest. Because I don't think he's a very good goalkeeper, personally. I was never a big fan of Brad Guzan. I never thought that he was very reliable or dependable in goal. He could make a worldie of a save 1 minute, and then the next minute he'd be letting an absolute horror shot crawl through his legs.
Obviously, I watch MLS quite a bit, and he is absolutely appalling when he was playing there. I don't know if he still is, but he was appalling.
They almost went for they tried to get a Brad Friedel regen, didn't they, Aston Villa? Because obviously Brad Friedel was at Villa, and they've gone, well, he's bottled, and his name's Brad. He must be the same quality, and it couldn't have gone any worse.
So then at right back for both of these sides, we have the Leicester side. We have James Justin,
and again another one still playing Premier League football. He's at Leeds now, and always been capable of whatever club he's been at. He's played on both sides at fullback, hasn't he? He's played on the right and he's played on the left. I think he's quite dependable. I don't mind James Justin as a defender, to be fair. He's one of those players that will come into a team and just do a job where you put him.
Rated very highly at the start of his career, wasn't he, at Leicester?
Yeah, he definitely was. And you could understand why he was rated so highly as well, because you think in the Leicester sides when Brendan Rodgers was in charge, they were actually like a half-decent side, Leicester, and he was quite good actually at fullback, especially on that right-hand side. But I think obviously he suffered with injuries, hasn't he, for quite a few years now. And I think that he never really found that form again in his early days at Leicester. But still, like Con said, a very dependable fullback on either side. That's probably why he's still playing Premier League football for Leeds, because he does a job, doesn't he? And he's quite good at it.
So competing against him is Alan Hutton for Aston Villa.
No wonder they went down. He's terrible. He was so. Yeah. I mean, that whole Villa side, to be fair, was absolutely awful that year. I remember watching them and just thinking, what on earth is this? But him, particularly at right back, he's so slow and just
way past it, wasn't he? Way past it.
Big time. Big time.
We talk about Premier League quality a lot on this podcast, and yeah, not Premier League quality.
Yeah, he could be up there for choices of like going into our teams of like, obviously I know we've already done right backs now, but to go back and think, oh yeah, he probably could have been an option that one of us could have picked. He was, awful.
So then we got the centre halves, and you'll love this one, Ad. The centre halves for Leicester, both their two centre halves, we've got Caleb Okoli and we've got Wout Faes, who, if you've listened to the previous episode, has made it into Adam's team of questionable quality.
And this is why they went down, because one of their centre halves was Wout Faes. Now, I'm not going to spill too much about Wout Faes. I'm sure if you listen to the other podcast, you would have heard me say everything I need to say about Wout Faes, but that's the reason why they went down. That's all I'm saying.
Caleb Okoli, quite a young centre half. Very good composure on the ball.
There was a lot of promise around him. He was very, very highly rated, because I think, was it Atlanta they signed him from? I think is where he'd come in from. Yeah. And there was a lot of talk about him, a lot of promise, and he was one of those players, like even on things like Football Manager and on FIFA, that was like, oh yeah, he's highly rated, he's going to be a big star. And then he signed for Leicester, and not helped out by the fact that he's defending next to Wout Faes, but absolutely just didn't look comfortable really at all, I don't think, in that back line.
I think it would have been a massive struggle for him though to like go in there and get hit the ground running. I think especially a kid of the age that he was, he probably needed to go and be like third or fourth choice centre half at maybe like a bigger club or at Leicester when they were actually doing a bit better. To be forced straight into an absolute car crash of a season that they were going through, exactly like you said, Con, being paired next to Wout Faes, who is, awful to say the least. He's never going to get any sort of like momentum or confidence in a side like that. He's just gone into a really, really bad situation.
Sorry, I'm just looking if this is correct. See, what's interesting, I think you need to have a look at this, because it's got Jonan Escott and Micah Richards, or Micah. But I thought it was James Zakor that played. No, he played 12 times in that season. Kieran Clark, he's always injured, wasn't he?
Big Jules Zakor, he was terrible.
I think it's hard to really choose which one. I mean, Micah
Richards arguably is an
24
LQQ or a TQQer.
Absolutely. Okay, right.
Burst onto the scene.
Okay, hang on.
Top lad, isn't he, Micah?
So maybe Leicester needed, for like Wout Faes, or maybe Caleb Okoli, they needed someone of experience next to him. And maybe what Aston Villa had to offer was two very experienced players. One in Micah Richards and one in Joleon Lescott.
Definitely two experienced centre-half there.
And Joleon Lescott was always quite a steady centre-half, was, a very good player when he was at Everton. When he moved to City, he was pretty solid there when he played as well. And like I've already mentioned, that Villa side was just so terrible. The sort of players around him, Micah Richards supposedly burst onto the scene and showed all this promise.
Yeah, he ended up being really shocking, didn't he? Very rash in his defending. Predominantly a right back, wasn't he? And then he transitions into centre back.
Still managed to win the Premier League though with Man City. Micah Richards, Premier League winner.
But in his early years, burst onto the scene, like you said, Con. Burst onto the scene, was rapid, read the game really well, competing against the best wingers in the world. But then his injuries just caught up with him, didn't they? And his level of consistency. And at fullback, we've got, for Leicester, Victor Christensen for Leicester. And we've got Ali Sissoko for Aston Villa. Two very different left backs, but both very, very quick and loved attacking.
Two very, very different, but two equally awful left backs.
Yeah, they're not rememberable, are they?
No.
Not rememberable.
No.
Centre midfielders, so both sides played a three in midfield predominantly. I know 4-4-2 was kind of fluttered around with Aston Villa at the time, but predominantly we've got here the 4-3-3s that both sides played. So we've got in centre mid for Leicester, we've got El Kanous, we've got Samare, and we've got Wilfred Ndidi.
The only one I've probably only one of the Leicester players I've rated over the last few years was Wilfred Ndidi, to be fair. I think he could have done a job, not necessarily starting every week, but I think he could have definitely been a squad player
But why
at,
did he massively fall off?
at a bigger club.
Because he was touted with the big clubs, wasn't he? His first season,
Yeah.
especially, he was touted with big things.
I just think that maybe injuries, maybe consistency with him obviously hindered his progression. But again, a bit like Okoli at centre half, Wilfred Ndidi, I know obviously he was there before the managers turned up, but you think the amount of like pressure and just absolute lack of confidence that are going through the whole squad at Leicester obviously ran through him. I mean, it ran through the entire team, but you'd imagine it's run through him. And then when you're getting beat every week, and you try and you're trying to still put your stamp on the game. I just think that it's just lack of confidence for him, because I still think there's a player in there, and he's a lot younger than people actually think he is. So he could still do something, but I think it's injuries, lack of confidence, and stuff like that. I think that's why.
He played at centre half a bit for them as well. He hasn't always played in the midfield. He's played, I think, recently at centre back for him as well.
Is he still playing at Leicester?
Yeah, he's still there, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think all three of those are still contracted at Leicester. I think Samari's still there, and I think Bilal El Khanous is out on loan somewhere.
I think they've been unlucky with those three midfielders, because Wilfred Ndidi I saw as quite a very good Premier League player at one time. I saw Boubacar Samare as being decent, and he was actually really young when they signed him, coming through the ranks in France, I believe. And then El Khanous has been touted for big things, hasn't he? I think even at the World Cup, people are looking at him playing and thinking he's going to go on to, potentially big things. Who does he currently play for, El Khanous? Is he still at Leicester, or has he gone somewhere else?
He's out on loan. I'm not sure whether, did he go to Stuttgart? Yeah, he's on loan at Stuttgart. 8 goals and 4 assists this year for them.
Yeah, he's touted for big things. What country is he from? Is he Tunisian or?
He is Moroccan.
Moroccan. So is Morocco at the World Cup?
I believe so.
So if Morocco at the World Cup, I can see him having quite a big tournament.
Yes, they are. They're in the same group as Brazil, Scotland, and Haiti.
And I think there's always these players that come out from the World Cup, and I think because he's a young player, he's exciting, and he's probably one of the most exciting. I remember going to watch Leicester against Arsenal a few times, and he was a standout player. He was really exciting on the ball, quite creative, and I think he'll go for big money, I think, next season. So then we've got Aston Villa and their three midfield, and the fact this midfield even went down, I think is crazy. First of all, Idrissa Gueye, an energetic centre midfielder, a brilliant ball winner. Watching him for Everton at the moment, I think he's fantastic. I think he was when he played for Villa as well. He's played for PSG. He plays very similar to Kante, and I think he's like that budget option of Kante. When he played at PSG, just a relentless ball winner, cover a lot of ground. And for Everton, he's been a brilliant servant and still playing. I think he's like 34, is he now? And still playing at the top level. A fantastic player. Then partner alongside him in those three midfield, Jordan Veretout, who was signed for big things from France. And we've got Ashley Westwood currently playing in the MLS for Charlotte FC. But Ashley Westwood, a brilliant possession-based, composed midfielder, brilliant at keeping the ball. I've watched Villa a few times that season, and even the season prior, when Tim Sherwood had him really going in that first season he had him. And Ashley Westwood was brilliant in midfield, top player.
Yeah, those two midfielders, like those two sets of midfielders that you've mentioned, it's going to be really difficult to choose 3 out of them 6, I think, because I think all 6 of them have like qualities enough to go in, especially at that holding midfielder position between Wilfred Ndidi and Idrissa Gueye. I think that's going to be a really interesting debate about who goes in.
Yeah, it's a midfield that should, I think, have offered a lot more to Villa in that season than they did. Particularly Jordan Veretout, I think, who, whenever I watched him play in a Villa shirt, just looked absolutely dreadful. And didn't
signed for
offer
big things, wasn't he?
Yeah, he'd had a good career before he went to Villa. You know, he was highly rated, and people believed he was going to make a difference there, and he never really got going.
So then we've got the winger positions. So we've got on the right side of midfield, we've got Buonanotte for Leicester. And on the right side for Villa, we've got Scott Sinclair.
I mean, both have played at Chelsea. Buonanotte,
Yeah.
Buonanotte, I don't know why he played at Chelsea. That has got to be one of the most pointless signings ever to have been made by the club, to bring him in on loan from Brighton to then terminate it 6 months later in the January window. Absolutely pointless. Poor lad in his first interview. Yeah, I can't wait to play Champions League football for the club. Then doesn't get put into the Champions League squad. He's not somebody that he's got the potential to be exciting. I don't think he's ever really shown it to the levels that he could have done. Scott Sinclair was a tricky player. I think most probably remembered for his time at Swansea, where he was
He was
fantastic for them in getting
fantastic,
them up.
wasn't he, there?
Yeah,
He was brilliant.
definitely remembered more for his time at Swansea, 100%.
Really, really quick, slick on the ball, could finish and create as well. He was a really, really good player in that Swansea side. Less so, I think, in this Villa side. I think they just struggled generally to create and to cause too many problems to the opposition.
100%.
So they're the right midfielders. We've also got on the left side now, we've got Maviadidi for Leicester, and we've got one Jack Grealish on the left for Villa.
Well, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? Jack Grealish or Maviadidi. You're gonna. I presume that you two, when we get to it, are going to pick Jack Grealish. But again, I think it was Jack Grealish probably just before he started to really take that Villa side by the scruff of the neck. He was in there a little bit. Obviously, he was a bit younger than what he was when they really started to push on. And then for Maviadidi, again, he was brilliant for him in the Championship. Got a lot of goals for Leicester in the Championship. But then never really promised a lot in the Premier League. Obviously, I know that the step up is a lot different, but never really managed to kick on.
What's interesting is when you went straight away to Jack Grealish, at that time he was a real young kid and he was really exciting. He'd just come onto the scene. He was a player that, he started straight away. He had the slick back hair. He had the shorts, the socks rolled all the way down. And when he got on the ball, he just wanted to dribble, didn't he? Wanted to dribble, take people on and beat people. And he'd lose the ball quite a bit, but he was exciting. And I think he scored a few goals that season that were quite important in terms of his career and him starting out. And Tim Sherwood given him the reins to go and to express himself. He then actually has 3 seasons in the Championship after that with Villa before he then comes up to the Premier League. What's interesting is Maviadidi, very direct winger, very pacey. A lot of shots that he had on goal. I think it'd be interesting to see who we go for in that left wing, because Maviadidi's the more experienced of the two. Still young player, but more experienced than the two. I think it's interesting where you go there, because Jack Grealish at that point was exciting. But
I suppose. Yeah.
And then in the striker positions for the 2015-16 season, we have Jamie Vardy for Leicester, and we have Rudy Gusted for Aston Villa. 2 very, very different strikers.
Very, very different in terms of their style of play, but also the quality of player. Rudy Gusted, oh my God.
He scored a fair few goals, though, didn't he, for Blackburn, I remember. And he scored a fair few for Aston Villa as well.
Yeah, but he's not the sort of player you want leading the line in the Premier League. He's not going to be the man to play up front that's going to keep you in the Premier League and score all the goals that you need to stay up. He's not that player at all.
No.
Whereas Vardy is the total opposite.
Even Vardy in that season for Leicester, you'd still rather have Vardy in that season for Leicester than you would Rudy Gusted, I think. And it just speaks volumes of the type of forward that Rudy Gusted was compared to Jamie Vardy ultimately.
What about Jamie Vardy, though? What a player.
Unbelievable. Absolutely
mate,
unbelievable.
that run that he went on when they won the league, obviously, even the years after when they obviously fell out of the top four and stuff like that afterwards. But that season, mate, when they won the league, he was untouchable, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Best player, one of the best players in the league. That whole Leicester side was just so fun to watch. But Jamie Vardy especially, like, it almost got to a point where he was guaranteed to score every week, and that's the type of striker you want, isn't it? There hasn't been many where you can guarantee that he'd score every week, but Jamie Vardy in that season especially, he was one of them. Magical
Okay.
footballer.
So let's combine them. Adam, I'm going to come to you first. So,
Okay.
Adam, you're going to combine the 11s, please, of Leicester 2024-25 and Aston Villa 2015-2016 seasons. So, Mads Hermansson or Brad Guzan?
Just because of what I said about Brad Guzan, I'm going to go for Mads Hermansson, I think. I think Brad Guzan was the worst of the two.
Right back, James Justin or Alan Hutton?
Oh, James Justin for me.
Centre backs, Wout Faes or Micah Richards? Micah Richards, sorry.
Micah Richards, I'm never picking Wout Faes.
Caleb Okoli or Jolien Lescott?
Probably Jolien Lescott as well, to be honest.
Left back, Victor Christensen or Ali Sissoko?
I mean, it's like putting yourself between a rock and a hard place, isn't it, these two left backs? But just in terms of how much I saw of them and how I'm going to go with Christensen. It's a toss-up really between them two. They're both equally poor, but I'm just going to go Christensen.
Okay, centre midfielders, Ndidi or Gay?
I'm going to go for Idrissa Gueye. Idrissa Gueye, I think, over Wilfred Ndidi. I love Wilfred Ndidi, but I think just in terms of Premier League experience, just still playing at the highest level. And obviously, I know we're trying to link it back to the times that they were playing in these two sides, but yeah, I'm going to go for Idrissa Gueye.
Boubacar Samari or Ashley Westwood?
Ashley Westwood for me. Is so much better on the ball than Boubacar Samari, and just an all-round better footballer. I think. I didn't rate that Samari that much in that Leicester side anyway. I thought Ashley Westwood's far better footballer.
El Canouse or Jordan Veretout?
I'm going to go for El Canouse over Jordan Veretout. I think he offers a bit more going forward, and I think he's just a bit more exciting to watch. Obviously, Jordan Veretout at his time in Aston Villa didn't exactly pull up any trees, and I still think El Canouse is going to have quite a good career.
On the right wing, Buonanotte or Scott Sinclair?
I'm going to go for Scott Sinclair. I think that's almost like the easiest one you could pick, probably, especially out on that right-hand side. I can't imagine that you two are going to be picking Buonanotte. I could be wrong, but I think Scott Sinclair, what he did at Swansea, even in that Aston Villa side, even though they were struggling, I still thought he was quite dangerous and quite explosive, especially on that right-hand side. So I'm going to go for Scott Sinclair.
Okay. On the left wing, Mavia Didi or Jack Grealish?
After the points that you made, I thought that it was going to be a closer argument than I thought it was originally. But I still think I'm going to go with my original answer of Jack Grealish. I just think in that Aston Villa side, he was the one sort of outlet and spark that he could really hang your hat on it in a struggling Villa side. Mavia Didi, yes, a good player for Leicester. But I think if you were to ask me out of the two, who's the better footballer and who would I rather have in my 11, I'd rather have Jack Grealish. So I'm going to go for Jack Grealish.
Jamie Vardy or Rudy Gestede?
Easy one for me, Jamie Vardy. Hands down. Not even a question.
So Adam's combined 11s is Mads Hermansson, James Justin, Micah Richards, Jolien Lescott, Victor Christensen, Idrissa Gueye, Ashley Westwood, El Canouse, Scott Sinclair, Jack Grealish, and Jamie Vardy. So Connor, coming to use the same questions. So Mads Hermansson or Brad Guzan in goal?
Mads Hermansson, much better keeper than Brad Guzan.
Right back, James Justin or Alan Hutton?
James Justin. Alan Hutton is terrible. James Justin's at least got a bit of energy about him.
Centre backs, Micah Richards or Wout Faes?
I mean, at this time, they were both absolutely terrible, but Micah Richards over Wout Faes every day.
Centre backs, Caleb Okoli or Jolien Lescott?
Jolien Lescott, experienced head, much better defender than Caleb Okoli was at that time.
Left back, Victor Christensen or Ali Sissoko?
Surprise, surprise, Ali Sissoko was absolutely terrible, and Victor Christensen wasn't as terrible as Ali Sissoko, so Victor Christensen goes in for me.
Centre midfielder, Ndidi or Idrissa Gueye?
Idrissa Gueye just gets in for me. I really like Ndidi, but I think Idrissa Gueye is a better player.
Boubacar Samari or Ashley Westwood?
For me, it's Boubacar Samari.
Okay.
I never particularly liked Ashley Westwood. I didn't think he was very effective in that Villa side, particularly in that year. And I think Samare was probably more effective for Leicester than Westwood was for Villa at that time.
On the right wing, Buonanotte or Scott Sinclair?
Scott Sinclair. Just a much trickier, skillful, more effective winger.
Left wing, Mavididi or Jack Grealish?
A tough one because of the time of which they were, but I've gone for Grealish over Mavididi. I think Grealish at that time, like Adam said, was that creative outlet, that bit of a spark in a poor team, whereas Mavididi would often go missing with the rest of that Leicester squad at that time.
Strikers, Jamie Vardy or Rudy Gusted?
I think the easiest decision out of the whole thing, it's Jamie Vardy all day, every day, and twice on a Sunday.
Now, that is Connor's team. So Connor's team is Mads Hermansen,
Liam,
James Justin.
Liam, you've missed a player. He's only picked 2 midfielders.
Oh, I have missed.
Oh, yeah. I've not picked between Veretout and Elkanous.
So at the moment, his team is Mads Hermansen, James Justin, Micah Richards, Julian Lescott, Victor Christensen. Other centre midfielder to add to the midfield of Idrissa Gueye and Boubacar Samari, is it Elkanous or Jordan Veretout?
Elkanous, a trickier player, much more skillful and able player, so he goes in.
Elkanous, Boubacar Samari and Idrissa Gueye as a midfield 3, with Scott Sinclair, Jack Grealish and Jamie Vardy as the attacking line. So that is the combined 11s. I'm not going to bore you with my choices, but the only ones that I go different potentially to you two, I would go Idrissa Gueye over Ndidi. I would go Ashley Westwood over Samari, just because I like that kind of ball playing midfielder. I would go Elkanous over Veretout. But I was actually going to go Buonanotte over Sinclair. Just for the fact of Buonanotte that season was actually an exciting young player and was actually quite creative. And I remember when we played against Leicester, him and Elkanous were the 2 players I thought actually were quite decent. So I'd probably chose Buonanotte for that season alone. But Scott Sinclair, great player, for especially for Championship level rather than Premier League. Jack Grealish, I thought he exploded onto his scene for the left winger over Mavididi, and Jamie Vardy up front, just because you can't pick anybody else. So that is the combined 11s. Tune in next time where we have a bit of a different one. We're going for a European side of champions versus a English side of champions. So that'd be a very interesting one. Tune in next time to find out which players we choose for the combined 11s. Take care.